Hey Pete, hope you're all well. It was good to chat to you the other day. I try and do those things as often as I can when I've got spare time. Obviously, if it helps improve your knowledge and anything else like that, then obviously it's worthwhile. So let's crack on with this week's check-in. So at number 8, which is what we want to see. I know last week you weren't feeling too good, so it's good to see you back and running around again. Uh, so I put it to the beer company, and they liked the price and the package, but they requested image examples of the style of shoot I had in mind, the coffee shop location, natural look, etc. So I put together with a local model and created the shots. We also went for a wander around the city after the shoot on Sunday. We found some interesting locations, like in the Urban Pick. I've also reached out to a few other companies, video production companies, and I have meetings with 2 of them next week. That's brilliant. It's what we like to hear. Um, the images you uploaded, what do you like about them the most? I like the coffee shop image the best. The image you see has obviously been reduced to under a megabyte, but the original is 12 and the eyes are sharp. All natural light with a reflector to bounce a little light back in, shot at 35mm f2.2. Let's have a look. It's really nice. It's obviously like you've caught a nice little bit of a but the best thing with these things is I often find is to try and find the light when the light's coming through the windows the best. I actually shot. Let's see if I can find it quick. I really like that image. Like just as you can see, like there's really nice catch light in their eyes, and sorry, they're in here somewhere. Obviously these are completely unedited, but that's a similar type of thing where like I've just used a window light. I didn't have any reflectors with me or anything like that. Just doing something like that. They're often quite like well used, those types of images, because it's not direct on the model. As you see, these are all unedited. They're all low res images. But yeah, I think that really works well. You've got a nice little edit on it. I'd maybe say though, like she's obviously got quite pale skin. It might be worth in terms of like the overall image, because it all looks a little bit cold, and especially like coffee's meant to be a warming type thing, it might be worth trying to see if you can like warm it up a little bit. Sometimes just to add a little bit more kind of color to it, because obviously like you've got really nice, like I mean obviously the sharpness on her and everything's brilliant. I think like you see this like kind of darker color here, it makes it look a lot warmer. And obviously she's wearing all black, which obviously zaps a lot of the kind of color out of it. It might be worth just trying to see if you can tweak that a little bit, but generally overall, like it's a really nice image. Her looking straight down the camera, obviously with the coffee as well. Sometimes, like with the shots I did, I tried to like go with the kind of her looking away instead of looking always straight at me, just because it then gives you a bit more of a sense of their like kind of um they're in their own little world. They're not posing for a picture. Sometimes that can work really well. Like with people, obviously for her own page, it looks brilliant because then people get to see her as she is. But the overall thing of it is like when you look at it and you see they're in their own little world, you can kind of associate yourself with when you're sitting in a coffee shop having a coffee, just letting the world go past. So yeah, that they're the only little things I would say. But overall, I love that like composition of it. It's caught a really nice moment, and so maybe just like I always try and aim to like control the highlights. So as long as they're like not blown out, which I mean her hand is a little bit, but like not overall, that's not too bad. But yeah, try and maybe like warm it up a little bit, and I think that's like a real killer image. Where are we here? All natural light. The urban image, I like the location and the pose, shot at f1.4 on my 85 Fuji equivalent. The area is all in shade and natural light. Well, that is cool. I like that. It's a really nice shot. It's got like a really nice kind of moment. She's got like a nice pose on. Kind of shows that she's a bit of a boss lady. Don't be afraid to get really close to this wall. I often find that it's only because you end up with a little bit more space around like these types of areas. It just depends, obviously, like I said, if you're using it for an advert for something, then obviously like this space up here is brilliant because then they can type and do whatever they like in there. It's a really nice bit of light, nice to see a bit of urban work as well. That's something that's a bit different. It's good to push yourself out of these kind of situations and just try and find some cool bits to go and shoot at. She's obviously quite a confident model, which is great. Um, yeah, I mean overall I really like that. I don't personally clean all these bits up. I mean you could go through and move all of them and clean it all up, but I just think that's obviously part of the scene. You've kind of got this nice like pretty looking person who looks clean and looks nice and tidy, and then you've got the rest of it. It kind of has that nice kind of contrast to it. So yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. The event shot, the room in Birmingham had a low ceiling, so the on-camera flash was bouncing quite well. Shot with a narrow depth of field to separate them from the background slightly. Yeah, nice. I like that. It's really nice. I say, I think with these things, like I always try and go for images where it kind of makes them appear, instead of it just being quite straight on, I always try and give them an image that makes them appear like, say, like a catalogue model or something like that. You'll see in your images here, like she obviously, like you've got a really nice position where she's just slightly above you. Um, Sometimes I think that it's actually better to then you lower yourself down slightly so that then you make them appear bigger, because you see with these, like it really establishes like her as the kind of model and shows her off, and then you get this where like it's not like the photo's nice and it works well. I generally think that like even though you've like the lighting's good on everything, um, when you're doing event stuff, as I say, a lot of it is just turn and run and gun. But I think what you could do to make them look even better is to then use that slightly lower position to then establish them up higher. So then it makes them look more kind of superior, shows them off well, makes them look more glamorous in that sense as well. Um, I wouldn't be afraid. I know that some event stuff obviously is quite hard to then like go shooting with a separate softbox and so on, but I often think like depending if you've got an assistant with you or like something like that, sometimes having that like a small portable softbox with a flash, just so then you could, let's say, like be more over this way shooting up at them, and you make them stand out a little bit more. I know with events obviously a lot more of it's, hi girls, can I get a quick photo, like, you know, they're often quite, it's often like that. But then when you see the images that you shoot, if you're shooting more stuff like that where there's a softbox just hitting them, you're down this way making them appear bigger, and you know they're the types of things go, wow, look at us, like we all look like great in it. So sometimes that's worth throwing into the mix if you can do it. But yeah, I like that. It's really nice. I say just try and maybe warm them up a little bit. Like I think all these images, like the models are looking a little bit like that's not so bad, but like this is obviously really white, and they look quite pale as well. Sometimes it's worth just tweaking the colours a little bit just to get a little bit more kind of pop out of the images. But yeah, overall, mate, I really like those. There's good work on that. Is there any way you could improve them? For the urban shoot, bust out a big flash to light the module subject and slightly underexpose the background. I mean, um, I quite like what you've done there. This is obviously the shot you were talking about. So, I mean, obviously, if you had a flash over this side hitting this lot, you'd have a darker spot in here, and the flash would obviously like fade off as it goes this way, which could work quite well. And then having a flash maybe up above this model facing down could obviously pick her out if you're going for that type of shot. But it's obviously just lugging all that equipment round to that location, depending on how safe it is. But yeah, I do see what you mean with that. It could look quite cool. It'd also look quite cool if you had her like turned the other way, looking down the wall at you, and then have the flash off to the side here. The shot I did the other day, let me just see if I can find it. Amy Sunset. There's a whole load of stuff in here. I think this is towards the end of the shoot. Let's come in. These were all shot along the same kind of process, where the softbox was actually just above the model. I think I sent it to all of you guys to have a look at, somewhere in here. But you can see my C stand here going up and then just lighting the model softly. But given that really nice soft lateral light allows you to kind of, there you go. So like obviously that's boomed out and just sitting over the top of her to then light her quite softly. So that's the type of look that I would say like works quite well. I mean, I'm not just saying my photos look the best and that's how you should do them, but like having something like that where you can put the light in a position where 90% of other photographers wouldn't, because they just have a normal stand. Sometimes that's what gives you that extra looking image. It obviously shows your work off even better. So it's worth bearing something like that in mind. I planned out the coffee shop shoot. I guess the biggest challenge was when we found the urban locations, how to shoot it. I had so many ideas. I had 3 different sets of images in there. But thinking back, I might have been like a kid in a sweet shop and gone from corner to corner with little or no idea how to shoot them. But that's all part of learning, mate. I've tried so many different things, and you just kind of get there and you kind of just see what you think looks good. You come away from it, and this is why I like asking questions about this, because now you're going to think, right, I've done that, I did that setup, didn't necessarily work for how I wanted it, but like the photos look good. How could I have improved that? And then you're going to look at things in a slightly different way. Do I go there at a different time when the lighting's different? You know, is there a sunrise there and it kind of bursts through the like. You know, does the sun come bursting through any of this lot or sit in a different way? They're the types of things that if you're up early and you can get out and do that, sometimes it's worth going and doing those things, because that scene will look completely different. Once you've, you know, different time of day, different lighting, whatever. So yeah, it is really worth just kind of using these setups to then go back and go, right, how can I do it differently? And you'll probably find you shoot it 2 or 3 times before you go, boom, that's the setup, and then you know exactly how you want to do it. So how many new clients have you reached out to this week? 5, which is good. How many responded? 2 so far. Meetings booked in next week. Wicked. Let me know how those go. Goals for next week: get the new headshot done. I've not found anyone to sit for me yet, but we'll ask my neighbours next. Yeah, I just think like something like that is like you're obviously selling yourself as a portrait photographer. You can't then go and having a bad portrait for yourself. And I wouldn't say it's bad, but I know you can do far better. So that's the main thing. Is there anything I can help with? You've seen how and what I shoot. What type of clients I should be approaching in your eyes? If you've not already mentioned it above, how would you shoot the urban shot differently? So, as I say, one of the key things is that I try and do all my urban shoots very early in the morning, because the lighting's super soft. If you're ever up at 5-6 o'clock in the morning, you'll see that the lighting is really kind of like natural and soft, and there's no like big highlights or anything like that. And that's often my best time to go and shoot. Um, the As I say, I mean, as you can probably see from these images here, I shot these in the gym the other day, and they're all. Sorry, 1 second. As you can see, most of them are all backlit and just using a little bit of kind of the natural light that's in there. I try and shoot everything where it's a tad darker, and then lighten it afterwards. So generally, even if it is kind of quite soft light, you'll find that you're early in the morning you get a lot natural look to the eyes, and to the face, purely because there's no like harsh lighting coming in from anywhere. Obviously, I can't really see. It looks like it was quite overcast on that day, and obviously it kind of looks obviously like I can see it's obviously like darker in the background, lighter on her face. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do things. I think, what did you say you shot this on a 35mm? Um, I think it's very much trial and error with these things. I think like being you've got the graffiti, you could get her to get quite quirky, maybe wear something slightly different next time. Um, just you could use the brick walls and then use the same type of lighting setup that you know, like let's just say that you were facing against this wall with the graffiti there. She stood just in front of it, and you've got your modifier just here, so it's lighting down on her naturally. And you use it as a studio type shoot, you know, with a different background. Then you can obviously have put 2 lights on the background, so then that makes that pop. That's always a different looking image. I say like having something that backlights into this lot could look quite good, because it basically just tends to give you a bit more. Although it's not too bad, because I can see the lights kind of coming in from this direction, hence why she's got the shadows on here. So like obviously she has got a bit of separation there, but sometimes maybe like a flash, say, over the background here, that's then pointing at the back of her to highlight her, to separate that from the background. That works quite well. Yeah, I mean, you've got enough lighting ability. I think what your best thing is to do is to not overthink it. Take a setup somewhere and go, right, let's try doing this. Not the same one you use every time. Obviously, there's certain things like you wouldn't go putting a flash down here and lighting it up at her. But, you know, there's no reason why you couldn't take like sorry, a strip softbox, for example, and shoot something completely different, where you put the strip softbox just above and to the side of her, so you've got a natural bit of light coming in, but you still get the shadows on this side of the face, and you shoot something completely different. For example, I used where is she? This was something that I shot Let me see if I can find it quickly. This was up in my loft in my studio space, and basically what you know, for example, these were all shot at like what f1.3 2000th of a second in the studio. You can see obviously like it's something different. Obviously, just a main focus on the eyes, just doing something a little bit different like that. I shot. Where are they? So these, for example, obviously these are like it was a case. Obviously, just blinked on that one. This was actually a big wooden board that had loads of holes cut in it. You know, like the old like fascias to like kind of boiler room or like airing cupboards and stuff like that. They had like the holes cut out of them. It had loads of like it's almost like four acorns that are like put together in the middle like a clover. And all I did is I put my flash behind that, so then the flash kind of obviously lit at certain like bits of the image. Ideally, I would have moved her eye a little bit closer into this pool of light here, so it lit it more. But was kind of just shooting away. See, some of them will work, some of them are a bit different. It's all about trialing new things and different looks. Um, you know, it can really work well. It can not work well. I think these are the types of things where you just try other looks. She really liked all of these, and then sometimes you get something that just works really well, and you look at it and go, "Oh, actually, like even that one, like with her eyes closed, when she lifts her head up a little bit more, her eyes in that bit of light, and that's the first bit it attracts you to." So I think like when you're doing these types of looks, it's a case of like trying new things, seeing what looks different, seeing if you can actually make something that really changes how that you look at the image, just so that then you're creating stuff that really like stands out in the sense of like making people look kind of like pro, make them like give them that kind of essence of like being like high and mighty. They're the types of things that work really well, not playing it too safe, because when you play it safe, you're just playing it like the other photographers would. Now, obviously, like some people just want standard images. That's fine. Um, just try and get like I think some of it is interacting with the models and really getting the best out of them. Obviously, she's a fairly good model. She's fairly natural with it. She knows what to do with her hands and stuff. Don't be afraid to get them to play with their hair a bit more. Like sometimes that can look, you know, like really nice, as in like just a kind of grab through the hair. But yeah, I generally think, mate, like there's not really much you need to change about the image. I just think you need to go out with the idea of experimenting. You know, say to the model like, "Oh look, let's go and shoot some stuff. I want to spend a little bit of time playing around with the flash guns, and it'd be really good to know your input on them. Just so then when you're shooting them, you show the model, and she goes, "Oh, actually, like, yeah, like they're going to look at their pose mainly, but then you can do stuff that really changes the look up. For example, you could put a flash right over this side, like right up tight to the wall, facing out, that facing out, sorry, um, facing from here out to her, so that then it's lighting across that, it's lifting some of the shadows on this side, and then having the flash going back over the background from this way, so then this side would be in shade and this side would be in the light. You know, it's an option. You just got to try different things and see what works. There's no right or wrong way about any of it. It's just finding what you're comfortable with and what your style is, and then kind of pushing that on. So yeah, mate, I think that's a good check in this week. I say like just keep trying new things, because often like when you get stuck with things, I do it when I get stuck with things. I'm like, right, let's go out and shoot something different. Hence why those Amy pictures came out with the sunset like the other day, because I was just like I saw it and I was like, this is going to be mega. Let's go and shoot something that's really different. And as I say, like it's just that softbox onto that. You get a really dreamy background. Shooting at f1.2, as you see, like so obviously these are all super low res, but yeah, like something like that. You know, you've got a nice little sunburst. The light looks good on her. It's just getting more out of your model, getting them to do bits and pieces that actually like make them stand out, make them look good. Um, and just showing them off. As you can see, like the light covers all of her like quite well, from that kind of higher up 45-degree angle. And just getting a little bit of sun flare in it. They're the types of things. And there's no reason why, if you've got a flash that's got, you can put an orange gel on it. There's no reason why you couldn't do the same thing. Just, you know, the flash was just behind them. You stick it over in the background, and you get that piercing light coming through. As long as you put it in the right place, boom, you've got like a cool looking shot. Something a bit different. These ones are say, I don't know why these keep coming up. These ones, like kind of, you've got the light between them. As long as you light her up to make her a little bit lighter as the sun, so then obviously it doesn't take you completely away from her. And boom, you've got an image that really works well. I think that's the one I used in the end. Like I say there's only so many things you can do with it. These were all shot with the 50, and then I think I went further back with the 70 to 200, or these could even be the 70 to 200. That looks more like my 50. But yeah, it's something like this where you're like doing something that's just using the light and using what's around you, and then using something like that. As I say, like you can just put a flash up with an orange gel on it, and boom, you've got a different looking shot. Or quite often, what you do is put a bluer light in the background. So, like say for example, with this, you could put a bluer light in the background to make it look cooler, and then obviously warm the color temperature up on her to then make her look warmer. So obviously makes her stand out from the background. It gives it a bit more of an eerie vibe. Obviously there's a lot of red in here, which obviously then makes this look warmer than what she does. You see in this as well, like where everything's quite white, it makes it look a lot colder. Whereas if you control the highlight on this color a bit more, you probably find that you get you see like the ones I showed you before with the coffee shop, you can see that looks a lot warmer. And I don't know whether you've done a lot of this before when you edit your shots, but if you it's going to work. When you're, mind you need to do it in when you open your images. I know you use Capture One, but you can use like color temperatures to actually like obviously like warm up the background and so on. So you can obviously add a little bit more red and yellow into the background, and then you've just obviously warmed it up that tiny bit, which obviously then makes it look a lot more cozy and makes it look a lot nicer. Or you do it the other way where you actually warm it, you cool the background down a little bit more, and then in the midtones you just obviously raise the yellows and the reds up a little bit, and you'll see the difference in like how the image suddenly looks now. Like it's colder in the background, but now she looks warmer, which obviously instantly attracts you towards her face. Whereas before, when I shot it, it all kind of merges into one. You see just a few simple color tweaks can actually change that a lot. So you may find the same thing with your images, like with this, you know, trying to control the highlight a bit more, knowing full well that you can still edit her face to bring a little bit more out of that. Maybe something that's beneficial to you in the future when you shoot. So I hope that helps, buddy. It's a good check-in this week. Obviously it was a good chat the other day, and it was good to see that everything's moving forward again. So yeah, let's just kind of keep pushing on that. Let's see what we can come up with this week. Let me know how the meetings go as well. Be interesting to hear about those. But yes, have a good one, mate, and I will speak to you again next week. Camtasia.